Ava was a quiet girl who often made gentle, wordless tunes while drawing in her sketchbook. She lived in a small town where every year, the school held a big singing contest. Everyone said it was the most exciting event of the year. Ava loved listening to the performances but had never thought of joining. This year, her music teacher, Mrs. Flores, made a surprise announcement. "Each student in our class must participate in the singing contest," she said with a smile. Ava's heart sank. "Me? Sing in front of everyone? No way." Ava tried to convince Mrs. Flores to let her skip the contest. "But I'm not good at singing," Ava said softly. "Nonsense," replied Mrs. Flores. "Every voice is special. You just need a little practice." At home, Ava told her mom about the contest. "I think you'll do great, sweetheart," her mom said, handing her a cup of warm cocoa. "Remember how you used to sing lullabies to your stuffed bear?" Ava blushed. That was different. Singing in front of a crowd felt impossible. Even at school, her classmates were excitedly practicing their songs. Ava felt more nervous each day. Then one afternoon, while she was sitting under the big oak tree in her backyard, her pet bird, Chippy, landed on her shoulder. "Chirp, chirp." Chippy sang happily, as if encouraging her. Ava smiled and whispered, "I wish I could sing as freely as you, Chippy." The next day, Ava decided to give it a try. She started practicing when no one was around, singing quietly in her room. Chippy would join in with cheerful chirps, and soon, Ava began to feel a tiny bit more confident. Mrs. Flores noticed her effort and gave her a simple piece to perform, "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." "Start with something you know well," she said. One evening, Ava's older brother, Liam, overheard her singing. "Wow, Ava, that sounded amazing," he said. "You're just saying that," Ava replied, looking down. "No, really. Here, try singing it a little louder." With Liam's encouragement, Ava's voice grew stronger. He even taught her a few tips, like how to take deep breaths and relax her shoulders. The day of the contest arrived. Ava's heart was racing as she stepped onto the stage. The bright lights made it hard to see the audience, but she knew her family and Chippy were there, cheering her on. As the music began, Ava closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She imagined she was back in her room, singing with Chippy. Slowly, her nerves melted away, and her voice rang out, clear and sweet. When she finished, there was a moment of silence, followed by thunderous applause. Ava couldn't believe it. People were clapping for her. After the contest, Mrs. Flores gave Ava a big hug. "I knew you could do it," she said proudly. Ava didn't win first place, but that didn't matter. She had discovered her voice and gained a new confidence she never thought possible. From that day on, Ava loved singing, not just in her room, but with her friends, her family, and even on stage. She realized that sometimes, trying something scary can lead to the most amazing moments. Ava walked home that evening with a big smile. Chippy fluttered around her, chirping happily. "Thank you for being my little coach," she said with a giggle. Jamie bursts through the front door of Grandpa Henry's house, his backpack bouncing as he runs into the kitchen. "Jamie." "Grandpa, Mom said you're making cookies. Can I help?" "Grandpa Henry." "Of course, Jamie. But these aren't just any cookies. They're my special recipe, filled with a bit of magic." "Jamie, magic? Like fairy dust?" "Grandpa Henry, not quite. The magic comes from the stories each ingredient holds. Let's start, shall we? Grandpa pulls out an old wooden box filled with small jars and papers. Jamie notices that each jar has a handwritten label. As Grandpa sifts flour into a mixing bowl, Jamie tilts his head. Jamie, so what's the story about flour, Grandpa? Grandpa Henry. Flour reminds me of the winter when I was about your age. A huge snowstorm hit our town, and we were stuck indoors for days. My siblings and I worked together to bake bread for the whole family. It taught me how important it is to help each other during tough times. Jamie, wow, so, flour is like teamwork? Grandpa Henry, exactly. Every ingredient plays its part, just like we did back then. Next, Grandpa measures out sugar. Grandpa Henry, this sugar reminds me of my first job at Mr. Baker's candy shop. I learned that a little sweetness can brighten anyone's day. One time, I gave a free lollipop to a girl who'd lost her dog, and her smile was worth more than all the candy in the shop. Jamie, so sugar is about being kind? Grandpa Henry, exactly. Sweetness isn't just a taste, it's an attitude. As Jamie unwraps a stick of butter, he asks, Jamie, what's the story for this one? Grandpa Henry, butter reminds me of my mom. She used to churn butter by hand for hours. It wasn't easy, but she always said, anything worth doing is worth doing well. That's a lesson I carry with me to this day. Jamie, so butter means working hard? Grandpa Henry, that's right, my boy. As they sprinkle chocolate chips into the dough, Grandpa's eyes twinkle. Grandpa Henry, these chips remind me of the summer I spent at camp. My best friend Tom and I shared a bag of chocolate chips we'd smuggled in. We made secret s'mores late at night and laughed until our stomachs hurt. Sharing those chips made our bond even stronger. Jamie, so chocolate chips are for friendship? Grandpa Henry, and for the joy of sharing, too. Jamie helps roll the dough into small balls while Grandpa preheats the oven. As the cookies bake, the kitchen fills with a warm, comforting aroma. Jamie, Grandpa, is there a story about baking, too? Grandpa Henry, the baking part reminds me that good things take time. You can't rush the process, or you'll burn the cookies. Life's the same way, Jamie, patience makes everything better. Once the cookies are done, Grandpa hands one to Jamie and takes one himself. They sit together at the table, savoring the first bite. Jamie, these are amazing. So, what's the secret ingredient? Grandpa Henry, love, Jamie. The love you put into what you do is what makes it special. Jamie, I get it now, Grandpa. The magic isn't in the ingredients, it's in the stories and the love behind them. That night, Jamie writes in his journal about everything he learned from Grandpa. His entries are filled with words like teamwork, kindness, hard work, sharing, and patience. The next weekend, he decides to bake cookies for his parents and siblings, adding his own secret ingredient of love.